Hello, I'm Catherine Huddle with the Carmel Clay Public Library, and this afternoon I have the great pleasure of chatting with two amazing young women, our current Friends Foundation Scholarship winners, Brooke Weisner and Zoe Edwards. Brooke and Zoe, thank you so much for joining us virtually this afternoon, and congratulations on winning your scholarships.
Thank you,
Thank you
so much.
We're very excited.
Well, I'm just curious, and Zoe, if you'd like to start us off, what made you decide to apply for the Foundation Friends Scholarship in the first place?
So I'm a part of the Teen Library Council at the Carmel Clay Public Library, and I believe Jamie Beckman, who's kind of in charge of the program, sent some information out to us. It's basically a group of teens that are really passionate about reading in the library. So I think, anyone on TLC would have been a great candidate for it. And I've loved the library since I was really young, and it just seemed like a perfect fit.
And Brooke, what about you? What made you decide to apply?
Well, I've heard about this scholarship for a few years. I've had friends who have applied for it, and I completely forgot. I'm also in Teen Library Council, and I had missed a meeting in, I think March or February, where Jamie first talked about it. And so I was volunteering for Raiders of the Ark, where we read and review books. And Karen emailed me back and she said, your books are ready. And I think you're a senior, so here's the information. And if she hadn't told me, I probably would have forgotten about it. So I'm very grateful for her.
I'm so jealous that we did not have Raiders of the Arks when I was in high school. If you can earn credit for reading and reviewing books, that's such a cool program. I'm really jealous.
I loved it. I love it.
Well, I'm so glad you both did end up applying. And Brooke, why don't you go ahead and we'll continue with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your plans for this fall and how our scholarship will fit into your plans for the fall?
Yeah, of course. I am going to Purdue, and I will be majoring in elementary education. And I am very grateful that I got this scholarship. It's really going to help me pay for my my tuition, my room and board, books, all of it. And I'm just very excited to just go and,
I'm muted, especially after the last year of what everyone went through. I think it'll be such a great experience for you to both be able to go in person.
Yeah.
And Zoe, what about you for the fall?
I'm going to be attending the Queen's College at the University of Oxford in the UK. And I'll be studying politics, philosophy, and economics. And I'm really excited to be going there with this library scholarship, helping to fund the program, because one of the things that made me fall in love with the Queen's College was its beautiful library and the central role that it plays in the learning of all the students. Is a lot of the studying and all the resources are physical books in their beautiful old library, and it was one of the places I went when I visited that I just absolutely fell in love with. So it's like it's all come full circle. The CCPL started my love of libraries and reading, and now it's helping me further that across the pond.
That's great to hear that, especially that is one of the top 10 libraries you have to visit if you are a library lover, for sure. And we're so grateful to both of you for all of the volunteership that you've done with the library and being such active volunteers and helping us out so much in the past. What's been your most rewarding volunteer experience with the library? Whoever wants to go first.
I don't know that I could just pick one that was the most rewarding. I know there's a couple that definitely stand out for me. I wasn't able to do it this last year because of COVID, but I think every prior year that I'd volunteered at the library, I always helped out with the Star Wars celebration on normally May the 4th, sometimes May the 5th. And I just remember we had people dressed up as stormtroopers to come in and take pictures with the kiddos. And I would teach kids how to make lightsabers out of construction paper. That was always my activity that I helped with. And that and really all of the help I did in the children's department was really important to me, because I loved spreading that joy for the library with younger kids, because that's when my love for the library started.
I have this one memory that's from I don't know, I was probably in middle school. We don't do it anymore, but for the summer reading program, we would have teens go and help give out prizes, and we work shifts. And I don't know, I was probably 13 when I did that. And it was just so, I would sit there at the computer doing whatever, and all these kids would come up and they'd be so excited to get their prizes and sign up. And I think, we would do other work with the library, and I don't know if this was all the same or not, but we'd help, we'd go down to this weird, it's not this weird room, but we'd go down to this room, we'd take an elevator. It was bizarre.
Behind the scenes tour.
Yes, it was so cool. That's been so long, but just seeing all of these people so excited to get to be reading, and especially younger kids, since that's like part of my passion for what I'm pursuing. So that has to be one of the many rewarding moments.
That is great to hear. So do either of you remember how old you were when you first visited the library? And do you remember anything that's changed or something that's always been there and has always stayed the same?
I can go first. I sadly do not remember my first visit, but that's because I was 14 months old and we had just moved to Carmel, and my mother, who has been my biggest supporter in the reading world, and she loves libraries. She grew up in a small town, and this was the biggest town library she had ever been to, and so she was determined to take me. So I do not remember my first visit or impression of the library, but so much has changed. I remember in the children's department, there was this, like, in the middle where there's a little play area, there was this big, like, tree, and there would be books sitting along the tree, and you'd pick them up. And that's over 10 years ago. And that was very cool. And they changed that completely. And pretty much everything about the library has changed since 2003. So
you're lucky you got to grow up with the library. I mean, up until a few years ago, we didn't even have a dedicated middle school department, a little area for books. So you got to grow with the library and see it change. That's really lucky.
I also don't really remember. I've lived in Carmel my whole life, so I'm sure I was very young when I first went to the library. But I don't remember the first thing. Like, the first distinct memory I have of the library is when I was in elementary school. I was obsessed with ancient Egypt and ancient Egyptian mythology and stuff. And I remember the shelf in the children's nonfiction department where all of the books on ancient Egypt were. And then, like, a year ago, I want to say, I was volunteering, like, clearing up the children's department, and I every time I go to that shelf, and I'd be like, they're still there. They're one of the few things in the library that are still in the same place. So that's something that stayed relatively the same, is children's nonfiction and the order, and it's, I mean, still the Dewey Decimal System. But yeah, just about everything else about the library has changed, including now its location temporarily, which is, it's interesting to see it grow. Just like a week and a half ago, I was taking my prom pictures as what I remember as a marsh, and it's now the library. I went with a bunch of my volunteer friends to, like, because we've all been volunteering there for like 6 years, and we took pictures there. So, like, very big growth from when I was probably like 4, I'd guess, when I first started remembering the library, to now like 18, and it's all different.
Those photos were beautiful. If you're wondering about where you can see those photos, those are on our library's Facebook page. Those are so cute. And it is interesting to think that the kids now, babies born during COVID and the little ones right now, that they'll have the same building, and it'll be beautiful, renovated new building. But if you haven't checked it out yet, the grocery store library at Merchant Square, that is a great stop to go in, especially if you really like the old marsh. So do either of you have an all-time favorite memory of the library? It can be just as a patron visiting, or maybe a favorite staff member memory. I know Mr. Gehrig has been there for a very long time.
I mean, it's kind of a series of memories, but my favorite memory from the library is probably the Yule Ball, which is this event that the Teen Library Council hosted up until like this year because COVID, every year since I was in like the 6th grade. I went like every year, and it was just a fun Harry Potter themed dance. And like, I'd go with my friends and we'd all get dressed up together. And it was just a really special night of fun and hanging out. And it was at a place we all loved, the library, but like, we were just dancing and hanging out. And it was, I'm not articulating well how much fun the event was.
It's a magical night. We had adults.
It's a really great night, and I always had so much fun. And that's like, in terms of things I'm really going to miss from the library in my teenage years. I can keep coming back when I come back to visit, but like, that's my last Yule Ball was like 2 years ago, which is very surreal.
And it's so impressive too that our Teen Library Council members, TBC members, help plan that event, execute, make the crafts and the decorations. I remember watching, it's snowy outside, it's beautiful, it's got the lights dimmed a little bit, and then you made those the hanging lanterns, the candles, like in the Great Hall at Harry Potter. It's just so magical.
And untangling those candles every year, like that was always my job, was the candles were in a big box and they always got tangled up and I'd have to untangle them. But yeah, it was just a really special night every year.
What about you, Brooke?
Well, I'm thinking I probably have like two I want to share, but I also love the Yule Ball. I'd go every year with my friends, and that was just so much fun. So if you have kids in middle high school, or if you're a teenager, go to it. It's my favorite thing. Some of my best memories are from Teen Library Council with Jamie. I served as an officer on there for 4 years, and we would have big officer meetings and even just regular meetings during our weekly meetings, and we would discuss planning such events. And my favorite memories are just whenever Jamie would look at me after she would ask if anyone would like to share their opinions, because I was always the first one to answer. Anyone who went to Teen Library Council on Friday nights would remember my many comments and suggestions for the library. And so that's something really fun and just funny how Jamie always knew. Every time she asked if we had an opinion, I would always answer, even if I had something good to say or not. And one of my other favorite memories is actually from much younger, when I was in elementary school. It was this event, and it was a Titanic themed event. And we were each given, I don't know if it was a passport, but it was a little piece of paper, and we each were given a person who was on the Titanic. And I was obsessed with the Titanic. I have no idea why, but it was just so fascinating to me. And I remember I traded cards with someone because I thought my person was going to die off, and I got nervous, so I traded. I ended up dying off anyways, but that was I love doing stuff with the children's department. So that also has to be one of my favorite memories.
Well, I'm glad you both have such fond memories of the library, and will be able to take those with you in the fall as you embark on your new adventures. I only have one more question for you both, and it is an easy one, and it is, what are you reading right now? And do you have any recommendations for our viewers?
I will go first. I have just finished a book. I just finished a book, actually. I finished The Hate You Give, and it is such, I don't have any, my vocabulary is not large enough to express how I feel about this book, but I've been told for years to read it, and I bought it a few months ago, and I finally sat down on my car ride home from vacation, and I read it in one sitting, and it is one of the best books I have ever read, and I would recommend it to everyone. I mean, it's opened my eyes about a lot that I've never thought of. I've always been somewhat aware, but now I'm more aware and I'm more informed, and I'm going to look into a lot more. So that was a really good book. And then I just want to also shout out my favorite author, Karen M. McManus. She is a young adult murder mystery author, and Jamie Beckman actually recommended me her books. So shout out Jamie, thank you for telling me about those. But if you haven't read those and you like mysteries, Karen M. McManus. So The Hate You Give, any of her books are fabulous.
Those are great recommendations. And what about you, Zoe?
Well, what I'm actually reading right now is An Introduction to Political Philosophy by Jonathan Wolfe. I personally find it very interesting. Unless you're looking for an introduction to political philosophy, I wouldn't recommend it for like the average reader, just because like it is kind of dense, but I'm enjoying it. So if that's an interest, it is a very good introduction to that subject. But also, like, on a lighter note, I really love the Grishaverse and the Six of Crows books by Leigh Bardugo, and I've just gotten King of Scars, which is like her third series set in that universe. And I literally just read the introduction. I'm just getting started, but it seems very good. I love her writing style, and I love how she writes her characters. And I also love the TV show that they are making based off of her books. So I would highly recommend any of her writings to just about anyone, like young adults, any adults, middle school. Like she's very versatile and accessible writer, but like I can sit down and read one of her books over the course of a day because they're just, you don't want to put them down.
Those are fantastic recommendations. And coincidentally, those are all available right now from the Carmel Clay Public Library. You can check those out with your library card. And thank you so much to Brooke and to Zoe, and congratulations to them both on being our Friends Foundation Scholarship winners. We hope you join us next time for our next Facebook Live. And if you're interested in more information on how you can join our Friends Foundation and or donate to support our scholarship program, make sure you stop by and visit us online at carmelclaylibrary.org. We'll see you next time.